All right, welcome back, guys, to another episode.
Hello, guys. Welcome. Every time.
Should just do like a
Hello.
compilation of
Giggle.
call-out intros. Just like, hello, guys, welcome back. And you're like, hello, guys.
Well, I want to say hi too.
It's all right, we're expecting it at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do a quick little check-in and then we're just going to riff on some stuff. There's been some topics that have come up recently, particularly around like Christianity and church, which was a big part of my growing up. I was very much in that arena, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
I think, and yeah, we've been talking about this. Like, I think you have a very valuable perspective because you've experienced a lot in that side of things, but also outside of that too. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like you have a lot to share because you haven't really spoken a whole lot about that side of life. But we will get to that. How are you?
good. Yeah, I feel good. There's a lot going on, feeling very stretched. But I can also notice like my capacity to handle more, not more like doing more, but just the volume of what I'm doing, like call wise and like holding space for people and my own mission and building out my next event and everything as well. It's felt like a lot, but it's also like I'm stepping up to the plate pretty consistently as well. So
Yeah.
definitely building
Yeah.
in that regard. And that's the thing is like when I'm looking at the vision for what I want to create here, it's big and it's probably bigger than anything I've ever like thought of personally. And a lot of my life has been just stuck by month to month, which a lot of that's based on revenue and getting the numbers in a lot of regards. So to look down the road 5 years, it's like, whoa, I don't actually know how the fuck I'm going to get there. But with that, all of the things that are happening at the moment and my capacity and to hold and handle more in this space now is basically all of the stuff that I need to learn and adapt to along the way to be able to hold that vision down the road. Because it's easy to like, want something big, but I know that the degree to which I want that, I can't actually sustain.
Yeah.
Or I don't have the ability to actually receive it now. So there's a lot of just like humility in that and knowing that, okay, what I'm working towards right now, it's going to require a lot. So I actually have to go through the process of expanding and allowing myself to like feel the stretch as it's happening to be able to hold the vision down the road. And I think it's really easy to get lost in, wanting something so bad, but then not actually acknowledging the growth that it takes internally to receive it.
Yeah.
And this is why like a lot of people, if they want the perfect woman or they want a certain amount of money or they want something that they feel like they're going to be happier with, but they don't actually know what to do with it when it's there. And this is why like when it comes to even training and hitting the gym, everyone wants a good body and they want to be fit, but if they would actually took into account what it takes to maintain that, let alone like achieve it, then they'll be right back to square one.
Yeah. 100%.
So it takes the practice of consistently showing up and just being with the discomfort that comes along where I feel like I'm letting go of, limiting beliefs and, staying in the pocket when I just want to like disappear and hide and shut down and just go off somewhere and watch YouTube videos on my own. And there's space for that for sure. But the context of my whole life at the moment is like expansion in a healthy way where I'm not like just meeting overwhelm every single time. So we're growing, we're building and still ticking over. So it's cool. I really feel connected to the process, which is great. And that's something I've struggled to actually feel for a lot of my life. But there's a lot of things that are lining up, especially doing like my own inner work and getting the support around that. I can definitely feel the changes and the momentum towards something like bigger than myself happening. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. I love watching that, watching you win that as well. It's cool.
When you catch me like sleeping on the office floor for 2 hours, just laying on the ground.
Yeah. I really love where we're at the moment. I feel like it took a little while to fumble our way through after moving and finding our feet in that again. And yeah, I feel like the last few weeks, month maybe, parts of us still aren't really any clearer. But like you were saying, it's feeling more grounded in that and in the bigger vision, and even building our capacity as a relationship as well, while holding all this other stuff as well. Like on the weekend, we haven't had a lot of time for quality time as much as, it's probably like as little as what we've ever had in our relationship, I think. And it kind of has felt like we're just floating past each other like every day. You're in one office, I'm in the other. And then, there's just stuff on like at the end of the day and we're working later, all these things. And it kind of just felt like we were like thrown in it. We hadn't had proper conversations on like where we're actually at, what's actually happening, what's to come as well for what we know right now. And we sat down on Sunday, just a little like cozy corner in a cafe, and just mapped out like a bit of a game plan for us for the week, but also like moving forward. Just little things like who's cooking what night, what things do we have on late certain nights? What does it look like throughout the week? Where's time that we could fit in that we actually can connect as well as a couple? So I really loved that we did that because, I feel like this week's felt like it hasn't been any different busy-wise, but I've felt more connected to you this week and not as like fragmented here, there and everywhere as well. And I've been sick this week as well.
Yeah, you've been under the weather.
Threw a bit of a spanner.
It's so funny. I shouldn't say it's funny, but I find it hilarious when you are sick, because not only do we have you being clumsy, like dropping stuff, making like weird fucking noises throughout the house, all of a sudden we've just got like you blowing your nose or, unable to breathe. So like doing mouth breathing and shit. It's pretty funny, but I like looking after you. When you're sick. Get your hot water bottle, all that stuff. But no, the meetings on Sunday, something we hadn't actually done for a long time.
We used to do it a lot.
Yeah. But like looking back, it's like we used to do it when we barely had fuck all going on. Like what were we even planning for? Fucking hell. But yeah, like for me also feeling like I didn't realize the volume that would actually come through after like stepping into the next phase of like business growth and actually scaling things up in that way. And, the vision and what I want to actually achieve here. It sort of just like took the next step and then poof, it sort of expanded.
We're like, shit, we're in it.
Fuck. And that was where it was like passing back and forth. So it was like we were figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
Which felt like a little bit of a scramble. But yeah, actually sitting down and going through like the expectations, the intentions, like what's actually going on here. Because nothing's like actually wrong. But when there's not really any clarity communication wise between us, it sort of felt like you had unmet expectations. I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do for the next 20 minutes because I'm like a zombie walking around. And that was where it's just like we're trying to figure out on each side. So getting together like at the end of the day and having dinner and sitting down and it's like, hey.
Hi. First conversation for the day.
What have you been up to?
Literally. But it wasn't even, sometimes it wasn't even like that. It's literally like I'm in bed, about to go to sleep, and you've just wrapped up your final meeting. It's like, hi.
Like 9 p.m. like standing in front of the cupboard just eating lollies from the jar.
Anyway.
Yeah, like every show that we would put on to watch, I'd be asleep in like 5 minutes. Still am. That's standard. But yeah, it's crazy. Like once it hits probably like 6 p.m., 6:30, I'm like...
Yeah, when you're like at a screen on calls all day, it is just, mentally frying.
But I also forget that I get up at 3 and train for a few hours as well. So that's something that I'm very much used to. And because like we go to bed pretty early too, which is awesome. It's like by the time the work day ends, it's like, okay, let's eat, shower, clean up, feed the dog, put him in his crate, all that stuff. And then,
Pass it.
yeah, so it's full on, but we're moving through it. So.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Where shall we begin? Like I said, I think there's a lot of people who are perhaps finding some relationship with faith, with God, with spirit, whatever they prefer to call it. A lot of what I've seen is it's come from a place where it's like people are feeling, I guess, some level of disconnect within themselves, within their life, and then they have this revelation and connect with their faith. And yeah, I just think there's some interesting perspectives on it. And I would love to hear what you want to share and say around this, having growing up with that and that being a reality for you for a very long time. Versus, yeah, I guess how you view things now as well. Do you want to share a little bit about what it was like for you growing up to begin with?
I look at this two ways, right? I have a lived experience, which is one hand, and on the other hand, there's people able to speak about this from a level that I can't really comprehend around what people are really looking for when it comes to a higher power in that way, right? Some of the stuff I've heard just resonates so deeply, and it's a great way of explaining it. But from my own experience, I can speak from that place. And I guess a bit of context, I grew up going to church from the day I was born. Mum would take me every single Sunday. It was a massive part of who we were in that way. And growing up in an environment like that, it was good in the level of community, I guess, connection in terms of everyone believing the same thing. But even then there's caveats to things where it's when everyone is indoctrinated to believe the same thing, there's no room for expansion. There's no room for growth. So that's one piece of it. But as I was younger, went to Sunday school, and then when I got old enough, went to youth group, and then from youth group I became a youth leader. And then in that I would give sermons and stand up the front behind a pulpit, and that was most Sundays. And I was 16 at the time doing that. So standing in front of hundreds of people and giving these messages that, came from the Bible and, perspective around things. And looking back, I was the man who was going to bring this thing forward in that space. Everyone looked to me like the golden child. I was kind. I was godly. I was, up the front doing God's work, so to speak. And everyone really respected me because I was a nice young man, which is awesome. It taught me a lot about how to actually interact with people and show respect, look people in their eyes, shake hands, do all of that side of things. There's a lot that I gained from the ability to converse with people and be in front of people in that way. But underneath, there was so much pressure that I felt to do the right thing. And it's interesting, the dynamic of growing up in an environment like that, where God's love is something that's preached about and talked about so much, yet it's also the one place where you experience the most judgment. And when everyone is held to this standard where it's you have to do the right thing, because if you don't, then you're displeasing to God, then you'll be punished for it in a way. So it's cool. We want to do the right thing so we can live in line with God out of guilt, shame, fear of getting things wrong. And growing up in that environment, I used to go to bed feeling fear that I was going to be burning in the lake of fire. That was a visceral fear that I felt in my body most nights, because I told a white lie during the day, or I watched something that was inappropriate, right? Or, I said the wrong thing, or I swore and said something under my breath. Things like that really took its toll to the level which I couldn't comprehend when I was younger. But as I grew up, I started to notice there was a lot of disconnects around what people were saying and how they were living their lives. And this is where it's like, for me, there is such a danger in being so attached to an idea of something. Like, you have to do these things in order to be righteous or to be right or to be okay. And what I was noticing, especially for the men, that there was a real lack of integrity and a real lack of authenticity that came along because their lives were in shambles, yet they'd preach about God on the weekends. Or they would go out and try to witness to people and bring them to Christ and save them in a way, yet they were cheating on their woman. Or they would preach about forgiveness and God's grace, yet be rude to the waitress. It's like all of this stuff that I've seen, I'm like, fucking hell. It's like, I don't want to be any of you.
Doesn't line up.
And this is where it's like, it's almost like okay, I am nothing. Nothing good comes from me. It all comes from God. But everything bad that I do is my fault. So it put me in a position where I didn't feel like I could actually be myself. I felt extreme amounts of guilt and shame when I would mess things up. I had a lot of pressure to do things to be okay and be in right standing with God. And there was always this external pressure to perform for someone else.
Yeah.
Most of that was to perform for my mother, but on the top side, there was like the pressure to like be in line with something bigger than me. And what I notice is today when I see people talk about, you know, Christ and a lot of the conversations I have with particularly a lot of men that I jump on sales calls with as well, when they're looking to come into this work, it's when they notice that there is a struggle and something's wrong and they're messing things up and they're, you know, failing in their own words, there's almost like there's a desire for them to do something to make it right. So they'll just go to church. And it's almost like the place where I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to fit into this mold because, you know, it preaches about God's grace and the ability to be washed clean and really like reap the benefits and the fruits of being like in line with Christ. So there's this searching for meaning on a deeper level to figure out like, who the fuck am I? Where do I stand in the world? And there's also an inability to address where these behaviors that are sabotaging their relationship are coming from. And this is where it's easy to look at groups and organizations and the church in particular that preaches about God's love, God's grace, and, you know, how a man should show up for his woman and how a woman should show up for her man. But throughout it all, there's such a leaning. It's like there's an over-indexing on, okay, it's not really anything to do with me. It's towards a higher power that gives me all of the good. So I no longer have any ownership or I no longer have agency in my own life.
Do you think it's an inability to accept their own truth and who they are, and they're like searching still in something outside of themselves?
Yeah, for sure. Like when we talk about Christianity as like a religion, like that's what it is, right? Like the example of Christ is suffering to receive. It's the archetype of Christ. And when we look at suffering, a lot of the time that's a choosing. But it also almost brings in this level of, okay, I am nothing, he is everything. Everything good comes from him. Mistakes I need to ask forgiveness for. And there's almost like this, okay, cast away the responsibility, cast away the ownership. So when there's so much dependency on a higher power in that way, there's almost like it's a reinforcing of I'm not good enough on my own. Even when we go into like the Bible, like certain verses as well, and this is where like I'm really hesitant to get in to this, like this Bible verse says this, but yeah, this one says this. It's so like fucking, it's confusing even for me. And I've grown up in the environment. And this is where like underneath a lot of the debates and a lot of the noise around what's right, what's wrong, there's deeper questions that need answering aside from the fucking verses that we're pulling to like win something. But a lot of what I noticed like growing up is there's an emphasis on God's love. Show God's love. Like show it to people, yet don't associate with them. Witness to people, try and save them because they need to be saved from themselves or sin. And like straight out the gate, there's this, okay, like something's wrong with you. You're broken.
Yeah.
You're nothing without Christ, right? And it's portrayed in this way where it sounds good because it's like, okay, in his mercy, he's gifted us connection to him and he sacrificed himself for us. And when we look at the structure of the like church and how this plays out, you know, this was all to its roots. The church was formed so people would just stop fucking everyone, so we could figure out whose kid was who, because society like needed order essentially. So all these frameworks that have been put in, it's like, yeah, there's so much good in them, but also as a whole, if we look at the framework of the church, a lot of this is like from the pastor down. And this is where there's this overemphasis on, okay, he is the most connected to God. And this is what I grew up with, where it's whatever he said went.
Yeah.
He knows best. Do what he says. He's guided. He's spirit-filled. He's this person that's so close to Christ in that way, and he's shepherding us. So I was like, God, the pastor, the church. So when I looked around at that environment, for me, I saw so much dependency on a man to give clarity to these other men who were struggling, and they needed to figure out what they needed to do in relationship. And this is where I was like, so much emphasis placed on external things, right? And the work that I do with men today and what I'm involved with is learning how to actually feel and connect in with your own emotional experience, what you needed as a child, and how this is playing out for you today, right? There's an internal look here, but the focus is never that when it comes to God.
Yeah.
It was always pray about it. Read the Bible, find the wisdom from there. Meanwhile, there was so much inner turmoil that was driving so much behavior in the shadows.
Yeah.
And it was so wild just to see the presentation that was put out. And after years, I noticed this, like, everyone is suffering. We're not really contributing a whole lot to community. Your lives are like imploding because we're not looking further than what's outside of these walls.
Yeah.
So it's different for many organizations, granted. The one that I grew up in put me in a position where it was very culty in that way. It was fucked in a lot of ways. But for what I notice today, when people talk about Christianity and their faith, there is a disconnect that I always feel from the person that's speaking about it. It's like, yeah, I get that. Like soul craving, soul connection to earth, to spirit, that's a real thing.
100%.
But that shouldn't come at the cost of connecting to like your own being internally as well.
Yeah.
Right. And this is where it's like, God's here, I'm here. My goal is to work as hard as I can to get as close to him as possible, knowing that I will never do that. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And there's always a feeling of not being good enough. So I get it. It helps a lot of people to feel better within themselves and not so hopeless in that way. Unfortunately, I also see that hope in something better than what they have now is also the thing that allows them to be really manipulated and led down different roads that ultimately, feel good in the moment, but there's still a craving underneath. And this is where a lot of men, particularly in churches, where they can show up, they're still dealing with pornography addiction on the side. They're still dealing with alcohol. They're still dealing with actually cheating on their woman with someone 3 rows down the front. Like, this stuff is real, and no one actually wants to talk about it because, this is actually happening from the top all the way down. And when we look at, if this was to come out, the politics of that, when we run into like the framework of the church itself, what we have here is a real cry for help for a lot of men who are still in a place where they don't know who the fuck they are. All they hear is God is good. God is great. Here we are fucking beautifully and wonderfully made, and all that's great. Like, fucking do your thing. Absolutely. But don't ignore the stuff that's underneath.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can pray about it all you want. You can read as much of the Bible all you want. But if you're still struggling to work through the things in your life that have been there for years and years and years, and you're not seeing any changes, in fact, things are getting worse, then there's a real interesting place, because a lot of the times I found that when we look to things like therapy or coaching or the spirituality of our existence in that sense, it was always rejected. It's like, if it's not from God, then it's evil. It's bad.
Yeah. I've experienced a little bit of like feeling in like family, like one side of family is quite big, and they're growing up, there was quite a few families within that, like cousins and stuff and aunts and uncles, and they were quite heavily involved in church. And it was really interesting because it was kind of a little bit of a split dynamic, in half of the family was, half of the family wasn't. But I could always feel, I don't know, you'd go to like Christmases and family gatherings, and it was always kind of just like there's some level of judgment that was coming from them on people's appearance, how people were showing up, partners that were getting bored. They may have had tattoos, like all this stuff. It was just, very much like, that's bad, we're good, we're up here. And it's like they've put themselves on this pedestal because they have these certain beliefs and this involvement, but then no one's looking at their behaviors, their relationship dynamics, like all this other stuff that's playing out. And like, I was quite young when I'm going to these things, and I can still remember kind of just like questioning certain things in my own head and just really observing what was playing out. And I'd be like, is anyone else like picking up on this mismatch? And like you said, there's not that authenticity there, and you can feel that with certain, people in certain situations. And it was just very interesting, like observing that playing out. And, I was a little bit of, a black sheep of the family. So I always kept to myself a little bit. But I still remember, kind of like sitting back and just like observing everyone of how certain things were playing out. And it was very real as well. Yeah,
100%. That's common for a lot of organizations. Now, I really do believe that there are people out there who have a really grounded faith and have the capacity to hold like the relationship and the structure of like God and Christ in that way, and also be amongst people and connect and relate and to share on a real deep level and really understand like their own experiences and what makes them who they are.
Yeah.
And the relationship they have with God really amplifies that for them. I'm not hating on the faith side of this as well. It's just so often I see there is a real limiting factor to it when self-expression is something that's stunted in a space like that. And oftentimes there's a real emphasis on the doing, and Catholicism is big on this, like the ritual and the, like you've got to wear the right clothing, say the right words, do all the stuff perfect, because then if we do that, then we're in right standing. And it's a performance. That's what it is. But it also reinforces that you have to do stuff to be worthy.
Yeah.
And this is where like a lot of the guys that I talk with as well, when they're in the thick of it with their woman and they go to church, it's like, I don't know what you're expecting out of this, but I can guarantee you that even if you were to adopt a faith and show up to an environment where everyone feels like they're doing the same thing and the intent is there and it's a nice feeling in that regard, it doesn't actually address the deeper wounds that are here. And I think it's really important when we look at the search for something deeper that your environment plays a huge role in that. And when there is so much importance placed on how you show up and how you look to fit in, like it's no different from joining a gang. It's no different from like joining like a sports team. It's like you're all wearing the same uniform. You all behave in the same way, right? So when you go out of routine or you wear something different or you show up with a sleeve tattoo, then that's going to wreak havoc. And all of a sudden you get people who feel righteous in their self come out and cast judgment, question, what are you doing? And there's almost just like this top-down approach. It's like, I'm here and you're here. But if we can all just work to do the same thing and no one steps out of line, then we're all sweet. We're missing like what's underneath. There is no room for failure. There's no room for like mistakes. We don't actually learn from that. So growing up, it was always like, here's the mold, fit into it.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you're a problem. And it didn't leave room to actually have fun and enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really struggle with today. It's like, yeah, I enjoy my life. I feel really connected to it now, but fun has never been something that I've really felt.
Yeah. The more we've unpacked that for you and had those conversations on what that looked like for you, it was so foreign to me when we're going in things of how you experience joy and pleasure and freedom and self-expression. And it's like that was so distant for you. And it just it makes me emotional because it's like it just makes me so sad that it's like that was taken from you to like find out like who you are in the world instead of getting told like who you have to be and how that's then impacted you moving forward. And, in some ways it's given you so much power now. But I just think back to that, like that younger version of you just trying to figure out who he is in the world. And it makes me, like heartbroken that that's taken for you. And that's very real for like so many others as well. And I think, like you said, like it can be a beautiful, I guess, addition to life when people are like discovering that and leaning into that. And I think it's beautiful to like believe in a bigger power than us. I 100% get that. And even certain, I guess, dynamics, even, values and that side of thing, 100%. But yeah, I think everyone shares the good, but no one's actually sharing the shadow side of it, that a lot of things get avoided and a lot of things get swept under the rug as well. Yeah.
Plus people like the idea of it too because it makes them feel good. Whilst there's a profession around God and Christ, and it's almost, you can tell straight away where actions and words don't line up.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing for a lot of people. They love to really like demonize people, like girls who talk about like God and their faith, and then they'll have like bikini photos on their profile, right? Like that's a massive thing when it comes to like everyone's just adopting this culturalistic view of, oh, I'm a Christian, or Christ is king, or like God first, and all this sort of stuff because it sounds cool, like it sounds good and everyone's doing it, it's very popular. But the substance underneath that is there's nothing there. It's literally something that's flowing through culture at the moment because there is a deeper question around like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
And this is where it's structures that have been put in place, whether it is Christianity, where it's fucking, like whether it's CrossFit, like whether it's, like personal development, the coaching space, spirituality, all of this stuff. It's just, it draws people in because they are looking for answers. And it's easy to get lost in this stuff. So I think with all of it, this need to actually feel centered and grounded within yourself and to know like where you stand in the world, this starts from a place of stillness. And going through this for myself, I went down the line of, okay, like I don't go to church anymore. I don't want to do this. It doesn't fulfill me. Buddhism, I can't remember the other ones I looked into, but it's like, yeah, it's great, but I don't want to be fucking locked in and tied to this, right? Like there is more here than just this thing.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad when I listen to people continually just work from the same place every single time. And whilst they may have some words of wisdom, whilst I see the value in what they're saying, I can also feel there's a level of just disconnect underneath that. It's like, there is more here for you, bro. It's not all about the Bible verses that you can quote. It's not all about the idea and the frameworks that you're spinning around, you know, how you should approach certain things. Relevant, sure. Valuable, yes, absolutely. Can that create change? Yeah. But underneath, like the sense of sadness and the wanting to belong and the not feeling good enough, that's driving all of the energy to throw yourself into these structures, it's still left wanting. And that breaks my heart because I've been there as well. And I think it's really important, especially for people in relationship in particular, where there's a lot of men who are wanting to step into partnership with a godly woman because she fits a framework that they can manage. That's also scary as well. And culturally, where there's this message that's going around for a wife to, you know, be submissive, dress up for her husband, cook him the meals, and do all the stuff, which is awesome. I really like that, right? Like, and it's so cool, but it also attracts men who don't actually feel like they have range, right? And it's like, okay, don't express yourself too much because that triggers the little boy in me who needs to fucking contain and control things. And I don't have the capacity for you to be yourself. So please fit this mold to make me feel better. Like, that is a fucking real thing. And I speak with hundreds of men around this dynamic in their relationship. And because there is almost like a small road to go down, especially when it comes to Christianity, it's like they will jump on that and start engaging with it, like going after Christian women because they don't feel threatened by them.
Yeah.
And it's scary,
It's huge.
right? And this is where it's like you listen to some podcasts with people talking about like they want a woman who's, you know, conservative, and there's all these like points that they put on a list of like what they value in relationship, and they don't want to be worried about, you know, what she's wearing here, or, you know, like raising kids in the future. Like, all of this stuff is so relative to a relationship, right? And values wise, 100%. Like, I really think that's important to fucking get that stuff sorted. But there's almost like there's an over indexing on this. It's like, do you fit the mold? No, get out. Do you fit the mold here? No, get out. Like, none of this stuff requires them to shift their own perspective and look at the parts of themselves that are like, okay, I don't know how to be with this. So what sort of things can I tweak and twist and turn and change, or structure I can put in here to put people in a fucking box? Because if they're out of the box, then it's a threat.
Yeah.
And Christianity and good Christian women can fit the box pretty fucking well because there's not a lot of self-expression there. And this is where a lot of the thirst, especially in Christian environment, and this could be triggering for some people, but in the Christian environment, the women are fucking thirsty for like nourishment, for connection, for leadership from their man, and he's too fucking busy putting on a show to everyone around him about how godly he is, or, you know, how he's doing his best to lead, but there are things that are lacking and they won't accept any outside help because they're trusting God. And it's just like, step the fuck up, right? And this doesn't happen from going and doing Wednesday night meetings just to hear about God and how good he is. Like, there are things that really need to be addressed underneath the surface, and church gives the Band-Aid effect. Just like, wipe it over, let's all feel good. And, you know, part of this I recognize is speaking from my own experience too. So I preface or caveat there, not everything is like this, just to be clear. But it's a big component of it. Like, I've been in enough churches to see the craving that the women have and the searching that happens, and it's sad. So I think, like you can't really, you can avoid it. You can avoid the deeper work. You can avoid like actually addressing your pain, but you can't outrun it. Like it'll catch up to you at some point. And I think whether or not someone actually goes into those depths when there's a real need to address their own trauma and look at how their relationship with their mother, with their father, and what they've been through in their life has really affected them, and to figure out what they actually fucking want, they are going to have to let go a little bit, because the church as a whole doesn't actually give them everything that they need. And if they're stuck in an environment where there's pressure to perform and behave in a certain way and to only accept certain help and the rest of it's evil or bad or worldly or wrong, then they're not actually going to get the help that they need. And it doesn't matter how much you talk about God, doesn't matter how many Bible verses you fucking memorize, like you're not going to be able to change it. So yeah, I know like there was a lot there, and I don't actually feel like it was super clear. There was points of it that was, and there's way like deeper points to all of everything that I was speaking into around like what's actually driving this for people.
It's a big conversation.
But yeah, that's just like what I notice on like social media and the conversations that I have with guys in particular around this. Like there's a real craving. There's a craving for something deeper, and unfortunately, I don't actually see the church as the thing that gives them that. Often the times the church attracts broken people because it's a place for hope. But hope doesn't actually address the challenge. It sort of just helps them avoid it. So church is great on a Sunday where you can all feel good and sing the songs, but come Monday when you're, having a fight with your missus at 11 p.m. after she catches you watching porn, then that's when reality hits. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Thank you for sharing that. It's a massive conversation. It's not possible to fit into one podcast episode, but I think it's valuable for some people to hear that perspective on it. And yeah, like we said, like to speak about the side of it that people actually aren't having conversations around.
But usually people turn to the church and God when there's a level of fear around not actually knowing what to do. So like,
which makes sense.
100%. And it's natural.
Yeah.
But once again, like it doesn't take away the deeper questions there. And whilst there's a sense of belonging in communities and like that, it can do a lot of good for people. And, some people just don't have the capacity to look deeper.
Yeah.
And that's completely okay. But a lot of the times there's still things that are left unsaid. There's things that are left unaddressed. And that just continues to fester, and it's reinforced in environments like that. And there's an overemphasis on everything external, while underneath there's still all the pain that's just simmering and coming out in unhealthy ways. So yeah, I think like if you notice that you're in an environment like that and it doesn't actually support you in the way that you need, and leadership can't actually support you either, like it doesn't feel like they understand, or they don't know what you're going through, or there's things that you resonate with but are a bit out of the scope of what you hear every Sunday, then I get that it's a scary place to be. But you're not going to die for looking. You may get some judgmental looks or, some harsh criticism. But at the end of the day, like this is the thing, the judgment that's cast on you is often the judgment that's held on oneself, and the church is ripe for judgment. And it's a big statement if you're in an environment where you consistently feel that, whilst they continue to profess following a being that promotes that. There's something missing there. And the deeper you look and the more you're in a space like that, if you're actually switched on to it, it's easy to actually notice like where the gaps are. So yeah, anyway, we could talk about that for hours.
Yeah. Should we leave it there? Is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a big fucking dump of a rant, and then
Ghost.
close it off.
I think it's a hard one to tie perfectly into a bow. And
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't know. If you have any questions on this or, anything you would like a perspective on deeper, or if you want to share also your perspective, like please send that through as well. And we're happy to dive into that as well. But, yeah.
Anyway, all right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for listening to the rant, guys.
Thank you, guys. We will see you in the next one.